Hello everyone, and welcome to another Monday Moments with Me. Today, I want to share with you guys the story of how my family adopted my little brother. I really want to share this story because this is one of the biggest examples in my life of God using something horrible to aid him in fulfilling his perfect plan for my life. So without further ado, let's get into it. So my family started foster care, or being a foster family, when I think I was about 11 or 12, somewhere around there. And the first child we got was a baby boy. I can't share many details about him, just know he was very cute, and I was very determined to be the best big sister I could be. He lived with us for nearly 3 months, and I loved nearly every second of it. I liked getting to feed him and play with him, and didn't even mind changing his diaper when asked to. I did have the advantage of not having to take any night shifts, but I still loved helping my parents take care of him whenever I could. I also loved showing him off to my friends, though I did get annoyed when they rathered play with him than just hang out together. Overall, I thought of him and treated him, and I still think of him today, as my little brother. And when rumors of being able to adopt him started floating around, I was excited for it. Then came my mom's mission trip. She was leaving for a week, and with my dad working during the day, some neighbor friends of ours had gone through all the paperwork and background checks to become qualified to watch my little brother during the day. I had VBS during this time and was part of a group of kids doing the daily skits, so I spent my morning doing that, and whenever Dad picked me up and we headed home, we would pick up my little brother, and I got to spend my afternoons playing Mom. He was sleeping through the night at this point, so it was just feeding and playtime and the occasional bath and putting him to sleep. But one afternoon, my dad didn't go to pick him up. Instead, we went inside the house, and he went into his room and shut the door without saying anything. I was confused, and so followed him to ask why we weren't picking up my little brother. But I stopped at the door because I could hear my dad crying inside. Now, I was really concerned and scared because I had only seen my dad cry once before, and that was when my great-grandmother died. Eventually, he came out, and he told me that even years later, I still struggle to process. Our neighbors had called foster care and told them we had been mistreating our little brother. They claimed we had not been feeding him properly or giving him the attention he needed. They also said some mean things about my mom homeschooling us, most of them lies or twisted versions of the truth. Because of these reports, the foster care system had no choice but to remove my little brother from our care, which is exactly what they did. I never even got to say goodbye. I didn't know how to feel about this or what to think. People I had trusted had just taken away from me someone I loved. It was around the same time that I was being hurt by 2 of my closest friends, so I was feeling like I couldn't trust anyone anymore. All in a period of a month, people who I trusted most had taken my trust and used it to hurt me in the worst ways I could think of. Me and my dad have talked about it, and we both agree the worst part was not being able to say goodbye. My great-grandfather passed away 2 days before we were going to go up and visit him, and the emotions I experienced then was very similar to what I experienced having my little brother taken away from me. Like I had been cheated. All I wanted was 2 days to say goodbye to my great-grandfather. All I wanted was a few moments to say goodbye to my little brother, and I was never going to get that. Recently, my great-aunt also passed away, and we had been up to visit her last summer, and my parents told me to take my little brother, the one we actually adopted, to a playground while they visited. I wanted to protest, but I didn't. She passed away a little over a week ago, and I really regret not protesting. My parents say it was for the best because she was really fading away and looked sick, and they didn't want my memory of her tarnished like that. But the truth is, I don't care. I wish it had been, because all I know is now I have 3 people who I will never see again, whom I was denied the chance to say goodbye to. But this story doesn't end with that. Something good came out of losing my little brother. It just took a while to see it. The first thing was that I learned about forgiveness. I watched my parents, who must have felt what I felt, but at an even deeper level, reach out and forgive our neighbors, even when they refused to acknowledge what they did and stood by the choices they made. Because of that, I was able to forgive my friends, I was able to forgive myself, and I was able to forgive certain family members who had hurt me, because I had watched my parents do it first. Eventually, the foster system finished their examination into our case, and we were able to begin foster care again, being a foster care family. The neighbors who had made these false claims had moved away, and we were now comfortable to begin. And that's where the second good thing started. My family got to foster a lot of kids whom we would have been unable to if we had continued to foster my first little brother. And from that experience, I learned of the unbelievable power of love that love and kindness can have in someone's life, even if you only interact with them for a weekend. And this particular weekend, it was a little girl who was refusing to talk. She was staying at our house for a few days while the system worked on transferring her from one parent to another. She was the first girl we fostered who was near my age, and I didn't care that she wasn't talking. I was so excited because I had always wanted a little sister. So I took her into my room immediately to start playing with her. I took her to my massive pile of stuffed animals, and I told her to pick out whichever one she wanted, and it would be hers to keep. After she picked one out, I noticed she was looking at a tea set I had on a little table made for my dolls. I asked her if she wanted to have a tea party, and she said the first words she had ever said since being taken into foster care, which was yes. So I set it all up, let her play with one of my dolls during the tea party, and my mom made us cookies, and, well, we had a tea party. I told her it was customary at a proper tea party to keep your pinky up while you were drinking, and to participate in small talk. So I had her ask me questions, which I answered, and eventually I was able to ask her questions. And then it was like I opened a floodgate. And she told me things she wasn't even willing to tell her parents or her closest friends. Things I promised to keep a secret and will continue to do so. She started talking to the rest of my family and even to the foster care worker who came to take her to her dad's. And they were amazed she was talking, and to be honest, so was I. I didn't know simple kind acts like giving a stuffed animal and having a tea party would be enough to make a closed-off, hurt little girl talk again. But it was, and it continues to be the case more times as I continue to do it. And I would have never learned that if we had continuing fostering that first child. You're probably wondering how I would have known that would have been the case. Well, the truth is, I would never get a chance to see my little brother again. My parents would. When we were in the process adopting Caden, my little brother, my parents went to a meeting where they met the family who had adopted that first foster child. They got to say goodbye, and they got to see that he found his way into a loving family, which was such a blessing for me and my family to know, because that was one of the worst parts of when he was taken away, was that we didn't know what was going to happen to him. And now I have my little brother, whom I love greatly and who annoys me greatly and whom I'm so infinitely grateful for. He is by far the best thing that came out of all that hurt, and I would go through that hurt a million times over to make sure Caden stays my little brother. It was worth it, and in the end all that had a purpose, and it was a good one. Most instances of pain are not as easy to see the purpose behind as mine was, and like most of them, like mine, Most of them take years before that purpose can be seen, and for some, it may only be made clear after we die and go to heaven. But that's the story of how my family adopted my little brother. I really want to share this because chances are, whoever's watching this is going through some things that are really hard and really hurt, and I just want the story to be a bit of hope during that darkness. I will forever miss that first foster child. He will forever be my little brother, even if he has no clue who I am and probably has no memories of me. Just as I will forever miss my weekend sister. But pain isn't the end of the story. Jesus is, and love is, and hope is. So yeah, I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.